At 76 years old, Hubert Gillet, a professor at the Museum of Natural History in Paris, is one of the last great Saharan naturalists. In 1957, he left to explore the Ennedi Massif in northern Chad. For more than 10 years, he traveled through the mountains on the back of a camel, looking for plants and animals which could bear witness to the time when the Sahara was not a desert. Today, he rarely leaves his house, nestled in the woods. He lives there with Fofo, his faithful parrot, his microscopes, and his 40 years of memories which he agreed to share with us.
When I came to the Ennedi Massif, it was no doubt the last unexplored part of the Sahara. The nomads who had been there thought of it as an extraordinary place with lots of watering spots and lush tropical vegetation. A dream come true for a botanist. These forests in the heart of the desert could, if they really existed, tell the story of a lost world, the Sahara as it was thousands of years ago. I dreamed of discovering this lost paradise, this Garden of Eden in the inferno of the desert. Without the tremendous knowledge of the Bidayat nomads, I would never have succeeded. It was they who guided me through this universe, so abstract for a civilized European like myself.
This is the first time that Ingai has taken his grandson Abderrahim along with him to introduce him to the life of a camel breeder. Up to now, the boy only looked after the goats on his own, while a few kilometers away, his mother and his sisters gathered wild grains. He is now old enough to travel with the men and the camels. Ingai and his grandson have just spent 10 months in the Great Plains of the Morcha. It's June, the height of the dry season, although it hasn't rained here for almost a year. The ponds have evaporated and the pasture land is barren. The animals are thirsty, and it's time for Ingai and his camels to head up the Sahara to the Ennedi Massif, a veritable water tower with large ponds called gueltas, shaded by the rocks. They will provide enough water for the camels until the next rains in July. The Bidayat nomads of the Ennedi live to the rhythm of the camels. In order to find pasture land and water, they have to be constantly on the move. The camels are the only wealth the nomads possess. A man is measured by the number of animals he owns. That is why the Bidayat almost never kill one. Camels are above all used for trading. They make up the largest part of a bride's dowry. Abderrahim will need a great many camels to marry a pretty girl, a chief's daughter, or the daughter of a rich merchant. When water is scarce, cohabitation between different herds is not always easy. Occasionally, there are even fights. Fortunately, there is water for everyone in the Arche canyons. They contain the biggest guelta in the Ennedi Massif. All the Bidayat know this, and the longer the dry season lasts, the greater the number of camels that come to drink in the Arche. "4,000 years ago, the men of the Ennedi left a great number of red and white paintings on the rocks. Abderrahim discovers these images bearing witness to the life of his distant ancestors. At that time, instead of camels, they had large herds of cows, animals which would find it hard to survive here today. They lived in large huts and filled their attics with millet, which today exists only further south. Then, little by little, the rains diminished, the rivers dried up, the trees died, and only desert remained. The cows died off, and the camel appeared. As early as 2,000 years ago, the men of the Ennedi were already grooming their camels. The men have rounded heads, perhaps because they wear turbans. The women seem to be dancing. Today, the caves containing the paintings are sometimes used for storage. The nomads leave their things inside: tents made of dried palm leaves, receptacles of all kinds made of straw, leather, or metal. They are placed here to shelter them from the rain, and so that they are protected by the spirit of the cave. Nobody even thinks of stealing them. It's lunchtime. On the menu, spaghetti, imported from Libya, like most products sold in the Ennedi market. The Libyan border is very near here, and northern Chad was occupied by Colonel Gaddafi's troops for several years. Then, Chadian soldiers managed to push the invaders back. The Bidiyat were on the front lines. Their ancestors seem to have been warriors as well, according to the paintings. They left for battle on horseback and undoubtedly returned with the animals they captured from the enemy.